Hey, hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another second episode, actually, another episode of the Digital Forge. And special thanks and shout out to the Silence League, Mike and Bradley, and everyone there just to have me on. It's such an honor to be here, so I'm super excited. Let me know if you guys can hear me a-okay. But what is going on? We got Gus and Jaime and Ram and Travis. Welcome in, welcome in. All right. It says we're live, so hopefully you guys can hear me a-okay. Uh, Basically, what are we doing today? So last time I streamed, so I didn't quite actually say how often I'd be streaming, but based on my schedule and everything like that, I'm basically planning on streaming once or twice a month here. So I'm really excited. So we're going to be continuing the same project all the way through and doing a bunch of stuff. What is up? Oh, and what is up, Travis? Loud and clear. Awesome. Awesome. Hello, chat. Yes. So basically, long story short, the last time I was doing a Cyclops. So if you hadn't checked that out, please go check out that other video because that's going to be really cool. Basically, I like to start everything from either a base mess that I create or a sphere, which is pretty much it. So if you're used to seeing me or you don't know who I am, just really quickly, although we did kind of an intro, but I feel like it's second episode, so I'm just going to do it real quick. Basically, so I'm the lead ZBrush trainer and training manager at Maxon. So I actually sculpt and teach ZBrush for a living, and I work on the training team. So we do a lot of really fun stuff there. Those streams that I usually do on Wednesdays with the ZBrush Live team are it's usually about answering questions and kind of helping everyone, kind of sort ZBrush out. And so if you haven't checked those out, definitely do so. Here, slightly different. It's going to be more artistic driven, and we're going to do more softwares eventually. So today we're going to still be focusing on ZBrush, but eventually we'll be doing like some Substance Painter work, possibly some Marvelous Designer since I'm learning that. And maybe in the future too, we'll do a little bit of CC4. Basically, it's our digital forge. We have a ton of tools and we're going to be using those tools to create our art. So it's going to be really amazing. So without further ado, let's take a look at what we have on the screen. Going to go ahead, boom, pop that up. And let's actually stick me right up here. Awesome. Awesome. Loud and clear. Good to hear. So I got this guy right here. This is where I worked on him a little bit last time, and this is where we got. I actually did a little bit of like cleanup off stream just because I was bored and I had to like think of it, but we still have a ton of stuff to do. So I'm gonna see if I could play music. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear that. I just discovered that Firefox and this streaming service that we do, Firefox does not like it. So I'm going to have to get on Google Chrome in order to do some background stuff. But long story short, that's okay. If you can hear it, great. If you can't hear it, that's okay too. I just like having music in the background as I go through the process. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So I think too, I didn't have any, I might have had reference. Let's see if I can find some reference real quick. I like to show off my reference if I have it. And of course, too, if you guys do have questions as I go through the whole process, please feel free to ask. That's something I do. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, Cyclops reference. No, do not save that. Let's open that. Load. Boom. All right. So basically, I'm working on a big sculpture like a fan art tribute piece for God of War. I've been on a God of War trick for a long time, and I really love this art piece right here and just all the work that has been done at Sony Santa Monica Studios. So I want to give I want to toss my hat into the ring on creating a Cyclops. Never done it before. Although I've done a Hinox character, which is fun. So here's some of the reference that I'm pulling for. Today, we're thinking like some more secondary forms, and then also too, like some bumps, maybe creating like a custom brush to come through and add that scaly texture on him. And you can see I have a tree branch in here. So yeah, that's about where we are. That's a placeholder. We'll refine this a little bit. The reason why it's a placeholder is because that's actually the same tree branch that I sculpted for the Hinox. And just a fun tip. If you've sculpted something somewhere else and you're like, I just need that thing, even if it's just to slap it in there, just grab something you've already made. Totally works fine. No such thing as a cheating. All right, so we're just going to throw that reference off on the side here a little bit, just so I have something to look at from time to time. And let's get into it. Let's go, go, go. So I am making this my own little bit. And actually, let's hide the tree branch for now. So I am making them my own where like I'm not really adhering to a specific concept. I usually work straight off a concept with a lot of my designs, But here, I just kind of want to just refine some of his areas a little bit, but also kind of concept on the fly as well. So, and always with a really good écrochet and stuff, we'll actually have a little bit, we'll add some like muscle striations and stuff. So let's get into it. Let's go. Oh, thanks, guys. Man, yeah, the Cyclops is kind of fun. I actually really been getting into more and more creatures lately. I'm not quite sure why. I think it's just the inevitable of like I've been sculpting like humanoid characters for a long time, and so the next logical step I think would be, you know, just do more monsters. Who knows? So, all right, let's work on some of this muscle back here. So he's strong, but he's also like heavy set, right? So one of the things I really want to focus on is getting some of the nicer shapes in. But I do also want him to perceive to be like he's a big guy, you know? So we're gonna just work on this a little bit. And a little tip I have for doing any type of muscle forms and stuff like that. So like a lot of times I used to do this where I'll cut in like all the different muscle shapes and then start cutting and then like start building up there. Instead, I actually just take like clay buildup with alpha 18 and then I just like make like a big thick stroke here and then I just refine that silhouette because muscles almost have like that fall off that that they like fall back into your body and then connect to the bone and ligaments. So I kind of treat it that way. I'll throw some clay on there and then just refine some of the shapes. So yeah. Um well, how's everyone's weekend so far? Watch anything really good lately? I've been going through uh, some of the original phase of the Marvel movies. So just watched Infinity War today. Although I need to, I told, so it's on record, Mike Bradley, if you're watching this, I told you I was going to watch Pacific Rim. So I will definitely end up watching that. I've never seen that movie, but I don't know why either. So many people I know like really like it. So, okay. What I'm going to do too is we're just going to go ahead and kind of like, I'm going to just boop them right here. Just timestamp that so that way, or not timestamp it, just stamp it to the document. So therefore, people could see it. Awesome. All right. And also too in the back right here, so I added like these kind of spikes that are coming out of him. I noticed that in some of the God of War concept is that they'll have like a little bit of like bone or something sticking out, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab this. Let's actually kind of zoom in here. I'm going to go V4 real fast and just work on the specific section. There we go. Kind of raise this up a little bit. So it's almost like it's protruding out a bit, you know? Awesome. There we go. By any chance, can you guys hear the music? I'm very curious. Trying a new setup. No music here? Ah, bummer. Okay. So yeah, I'll have to get on to Chrome because I guess there's this new feature where you can like have background music happening, and that's pretty cool. I use Pretzel Rocks, and I like to share just the music I'm listening to. Always gives good vibes. Something like that kind of sticking out a bit, actually. So let's go back to V1. So one of the things too I've done since last time you guys probably saw it, I actually here on the loincloth, I actually went into Marvelous Designer and actually filled that in. No music, no music. Dang, that's a bummer. I do want to try something really quick, actually. Let me see if it's possible. Oh, no, no, it won't let me. Okay. So yeah, so it told me it's like, all right, if you want to share background music, do, was it do Chrome? So we'll have to do Chrome next time. All right. But anyway, so I was saying like this right here is actually Marvelous Designer, which was pretty cool. I'm still learning it, so there's a lot that's what's fun about it is it's just a nice way to get some good cloth. But then what's also pretty cool is then you can just refine it more sculpturally. But I'm thinking we need to give him almost like a diaper. We need to give him like some just like underneath a little bit so that, it's not just this piece here. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to grab him and then let's actually solo this out. And I'm actually going to, let's just select this portion so we can just only work with what we see here. And I'm going to grab, let's go the mask lasso. And I'm actually going to go just a little bit above him. So let's do this. Let's grab this much. Yeah, let's do something like that. Okay. Yeah, so that way it's gonna cover like a good amount. And what we'll do is we'll just kind of come in and clean this up a bit. Speaking of music, getting to see a band from your neck of the woods, I think next week. Dirty Honey, great rock band. Oh, really? Awesome, man. Wait, so does that mean that you're in town? What's up, Leonard? What's up, buddy? How you doing? That'll be fun, man. I miss going to shows. I want to do. Actually, I'm going to be doing Blink 182 again this year. I think in June. So I'm really excited about that. Okay. So instead of spending all day on this, oh no, they're playing in oh my Glasgow, Scotland. Nice, man. Nice, 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 dude. That'll be awesome. All right, there we go. Let's do something like this. There we go. Nice clean lines. Not too crazy. So now we're going to come through here. Just and let's do our subtool. Touch every wrong button but the ones we want. And let's go extract. Okay, thickness set at 0. I'm going to go ahead and just hit extract and accept out the gate. This will give me something like this. And let's actually soften this a bit. I don't sound like a munchkin. Yay. Not yet. Give it some time. You never know what's going to happen. Although we'll just secretly blame it on Mike. That's all. It's all good. All right. So we have this right here. Let's go to clean this up. So let's go deformation and polish by features. Get that just a little bit straighter. There we go. And then now let's clear that mask, and then let's do this. So we're going to go to ZBrush, keep groups down to 0, adaptive size down, and let's just leave it at 5, and let's see what happens. You never know with me. My streams will go really weird, really, really fast. All right, cool. That's good enough. That's good enough for what we want. All right, let's go ahead and have that a little bit. Let's see how low we can go. Awesome. And then let's just do a smooth relax just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Say something like such. And now let's hide the loin cloth part right here. Did I name it like I preached to the choir? No, I did not. Let's do that. Well, I kind of did. It says version 2. And then we got the chain. We have the eye, which we're going to do some eye painting. This is a tongue. Watch and see if I can spell it wrong. I probably did. Yep, I guarantee I did. It looks wrong. I don't know about you, but that's a word that like bothers me. I spell it wrong all the time. And then what is this? These are the bones. So let's call these elbow bones. Yes. Slowly getting there, so planning on getting back to work next week. All is well. Nice. Nice, man. Okay. And now these guys right here, We're going to go ahead and just hold control and kind of expand that up just a little bit so that sticks out. Something like this. And then let's put the loincloth back on. All right. And this way, what we can do is now we can kind of position this and move this around to fit just a little bit better. We're going to be roughing this up a little bit too. We'll end up like start cutting this and like making it look weathered so it's not so clean because right now it's just way too clean, which doesn't look good for a monster that just like demolishes everything, you know? Yeah, glad to hear that too, man. Does holding control while scaling kind of do the same thing as inflate? Never saw it before. Yeah, absolutely. Also, hey, Brad, welcome in, man. Welcome in. Everybody say hi to Brad. Yeah, that's exactly it. If you hold the gizmo and hover over it and then over that scale, it'll tell you press and hold control to inflate. So it's a more localized inflation. Yeah, it does the same thing as coming down here to deformation and inflate, but it's just way easier to access that. So one of the favorite things I love to do. Great question, by the way, man. All right, so let's go ahead and like, let's do this. So I'm going to mask this section off here. Just like that. And then now we're going to soften that. We're going to kind of push this up. Brush. There we go. We'll hide his booty. But what we'll end up doing is getting a little bit of a kind of lip to this. So I'm going to solo this out real quick. And what I want to do is kind of mask this section off here. Like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and kind of do another little bit of an inflate on that. Kind of prop that out just a little bit. So it kind of looks like it's like, you know, pulling out a bit. Hey, what's up, Ernie? How you doing? So, oh, one thing I do want to mention something really quick before we go too deep into the stream today, and that is the fact that there is some funky dunky weird weather today. Okay, it's California. Where I'm at, it's California, and that means there's no rain usually. It's all nice and sunny. It's hot. It's like, you know, perfect 75 degrees all year long. Sometimes annoying. Well, it's pouring cats and dogs, and it's like 37, 40 mile an hour winds today. So there's a possibility that power can go out, but you know, we'll just see what we got. We'll risk it for a biscuit. So just heads up, if I just randomly pop off and all of a sudden it's like stream ends, then that's why. But I figure we'll go for a couple hours today, see how far we can get, and then for sure the next time I stream, we're going to be doing some Substance Painter. So that will be a lot of fun. But I'm also going to try some poly paint today, and I'll show you the way I like to poly paint, which is pretty cool. All right. Like and subscribe, everyone. Yeah. Looking at buying my Monster Palooza tickets. Are you going this year? Yes. That was really dramatic. Yes, I am absolutely going to be there. I cannot wait. Actually, this statue will be there. So you'll get a chance to see it in person. Yeah, absolutely. It looks like two. I'm headed up to San Francisco for GDC. That is next month. Holy hell, that's next month. So I'll be up there as well. So if you're in the San Francisco area and you're going to GDC or you're thinking about going to GDC, stop on by. I'll be walking around and hanging out with the Sense Lab team and just showing ZBrush wherever anyone will let me. It's kind of so I'm excited for that. All right, let's pull this out. Go. Cool. So now what I'm going to do here is we're just going to go ahead. We're going to go to geometry. Let's go to dynamic subdiv, and let's go ahead and get some thickness on this bad boy. So let's crank that crank that up just a bit. There we go. And we'll just get the damn standard here. Kind of cut that in just a teeny weensy little bit. So I like the thickness because it just really helps me see where things are and gives me an idea on how much something needs to, expand or move. And also just helps bring that realism to it a bit. Oh, cool. I plan on making some kind of monster mini and printing it out for NP. Nice. Did you see Geo's? Oh, yes, I did see a swamp creature. Yes. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, Geo is awesome, man. Seeing his stuff is just fantastic. Oh, yeah, absolutely planning on printing it. Okay. So here now, what I'm going to do. So I want to have some wrinkles on this a little bit. So here's the thing. So I'm gonna try. We're gonna attempt a couple shenanigans. Let's go V3 and let's just turn on this right here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to expand this just so it's a little bit bigger. In fact, this is where the inflate part kind of comes into play because then I can expand it, just make it slightly overall bigger. And then now let's come up here to dynamics. We'll pin that off over here. We're going to turn gravity off, but we're going to turn on contract and volume. And then we'll keep it pretty low. So let's say 0.25. And this is also too where you might hear a little bit of like funky distortion. So let's go 0.2 on that amount. This is to just kind of help make sure that how much is it contracting. And then let's go ahead and say run simulation. There you go. Nice. All right, that's a little bit more form-fitting, but we don't want it looking like a Speedo. That's not fun for anyone. And let's go with transpose cloth. And then this is where I'm going to kind of just like, see if I can get some natural wrinkles in here. Actually, do this right here. Reverse. I want some of these wrinkles here. It's getting really weird all of a sudden. It got so weird so fast. No, back up, back up, back up. That started looking like that old Johnson and Johnson ad. So maybe not that much. There we go. Let's just contract it down ourselves manually. Yeah, that's better. There we go. Okay, that's better. Let's grab this guy. Let's go ahead and switch back out to the normal transpose. There we go. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Kairos? How you doing? Let's see. Ernie, yeah, slightly unrelated question. Ian, can you make multiple outfits for a character with ZBrush for use with Character Creator? So my answer is yes. I'm pretty sure you can. However, I am actually very new to Character Creator. That's something that I also have on the list to dive into. So I actually plan on playing with that more. But if I understand the process correctly, then the answer should be yes. You would just like it's just you're sending over different sets of clothing then at that point. It would be kind of the same thing as like, you're making like a game character that's going to have multiple outfits, right? You want to treat each outfit as its own independent like main hero outfit, but then you'll just be making different sets of it. But I don't know if you're asking like, can you send over multiple and then work that? I don't know how the workflow itself works, but my safe approach would be just, yeah, make each set of clothing its own set that you're working with, so one at a time, and then make your different sets and then go from there or repurpose. What's up, Zachary? What's going on? So, when I get a reminder warning up the white text is sometimes hard to see. Can you change the color or give it a background color? Wait, hold on. Do 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 do. When you get a reminder warning. Oh, you mean like, wait, in ZBrush specifically? Sorry, I don't know if I understand the question. I say, yeah, I'm thinking of making two versions of the character the same for the same statue. Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, that's how I would approach it, and unless somebody finds a unless somebody has another way of doing it. But that's why I'm excited to start learning more tools because then I can bring those in. Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh, can you change the text? That's a good question. I actually haven't messed with the text that much. On the warnings themselves? Great question. Hold on one second. If you go to, is it under draw? That's transparent. That's color frame. That's polyframe. I don't know if you can actually change the text. However, under custom, under interface, under, it's been a minute. Eye colors. There we go. Eye colors. So here's all your eye color stuff. So yeah, there you go. Text. So you can come through up to preferences, eye colors, and here are all the colors. And yeah, you have text 2, text 1, which you have gray and white that are driving your main text. So yeah, just come in here and change that color to whatever you would want to. All of this is customizable. That's actually one of the cool parts about ZBrush. It's always made to be fully customizable. So yeah, you can absolutely change that. I just prefer staying in the default because I teach it all the time. And I also found that I got a lot faster that way. But that's my personal preference. Okay. Let me know if that answered your question, buddy. Right. So I definitely want to do some scales and stuff like that on him. And I am going to have a fun way to do this. I want to keep this purely sculptural, and I want to keep this truly like what's the word I'm looking for? I want to keep this like asymmetrical to a point. Like I want it to feel natural. So we're going to stamp him off over here. We're going to focus on solo. And here's what we're going to do. So this is actually a really fun older feature. So hopefully you guys have played with this enough, but we're going to go to geometry and we're going to do thick skin. Actually, not geometry. It's just here on its own thing, thick skin. And we're going to do all of these by hand, but we're going to still keep it symmetrical for the most part. So I'm going to go thick skin here and we're going to adjust the thickness on how thick something is. And what I recommend is you test this out. So you go like something like this, and then you just take like your clay brush, right? So let's just take clay buildup with alpha. And we're going to build until it caps. And we're just going to look at that and say, is that thick enough? Which that's a little, that might be too high. So let's go 50. There we go. That actually might be pretty cool. Okay, yeah, that looks to be a lot cooler. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So let's actually just hit save, and then we're just going to come through. And there's a fun way we can go about doing this. So what I want to do, yeah, I've changed it all, but it's still way hard to read. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'll dive into that a little bit more and take a look and stuff like that. There might be some default error, like warning text that maybe that's not controllable. I've never tried to change that, so I'll take a look at that for you. Is there a way you can make fiber mesh for geometry 3D printable? So, long answer, yes, with a lot of things. However, it's really like it could be quite difficult. So it's a lot more work than sometimes it might be worth. Depends. But I would say, but I've done it. It's just really, it's it's not as easy as you would think. There's just a lot of work because what you're getting, depending on the results. So what you want to be able to do is make it thick enough to actually have some substance to it. But the problem with that is that you're going to have a lot of colliding normals, and then you're going to have a lot of cleanup in order to make it look good, and print as one piece. And there still might be a lot of holes. You might be creating random suction pieces you're unaware of. So, so yeah, that's why I'm like, yes, but there might be a lot of stuff that you're going to have to end up doing. So ultimately, I would say it would be good to just like make it by hand the way you would and have more control. All right. We're going to be doing a lot of masking here, but the idea is that when I inverse this and I start painting this up, it's going to have a cap to it, right? Now that cap is quite large, so let's actually kick that back down to maybe 27. Yeah, that might be a lot better. So let's do that. Yeah, not a problem. This guy's just in the way a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna kind of do like this, so almost like this reptilian approach to it. I just thought that might be cool. This almost might be too big, actually. And I'm also probably overthinking a lot of it. Hey, what's up? What's up? 3D Maniac, how you doing? The party's just getting started, man. Just getting started. I was thinking about doing some like bigger, thicker scales on his back and then bleeding that into some smaller scaling as we go up a little bit. So we'll start with the back here. You can hear the wind just beating on my door. It's quite funny, actually. Now, I also bought some alphas a little while ago from like Flip Normals and also MLW Creative. So I'll probably end up using some of those as well when we get to some more of the final detailing side. Yeah, it's actually kind of looking pretty cool. Something like that. So great question. So actually, so the question is, hey, are you following the concept art? Actually, I realized I could do this too. I could do this. Hey, what's up? Hey, and are you following the concept art from the original God of War art book for this guy, or are you doing my own spin on it? So I'm actually doing my own spin on it, which is, whoops, I didn't mean to show that. Oh, thanks. Hide. Um, yeah, so actually, I'm doing my own spin on it. I'm just looking at reference here. I have some reference on the side and just kind of like taking an idea of what's been done. This is actually where I saw some of those like thicker hides and stuff, and I thought was kind of neat. So I was like, yeah, let me play with this design a little bit, but also too like taking a look at some of the the other concepts, but I'm not following anything to the letter this time. I'm literally just like looking at it and being like, okay, that's the decisions they made, and I want to make similar decisions, but not copying exactly to it. I've been playing a lot more with like my own putting my own take on things. I think that's what makes fan art really cool. It's like when you're doing a job and you're like following a concept or you see a concept, you're like, that concept's awesome. I want to work on that. That's definitely one thing. But lately I've been feeling this desire to like do more of my own interpretation of things. So kind of concepting on the fly, right? So that's kind of like just something I've been leaning into a little bit more. And part of it's to help just expand my own personal growth as an artist, but also too to kind of just like fail a little bit and see where areas in which I need to improve on, and just kind of go from there. So yeah, it's a little bit of both, I guess, in that regards. But ultimately, I kind of wanted to just like be like, this is my take on it. If I were to design for Santa Monica Studios, then I'd be like, okay, this is something I want to do. A great question, by the way. Oh, good, good. How about you? Doing great, man. Doing great. Hannibal, what's happening? Doing good, doing good. Cannot complain too much. Although actually I could complain because I actually just got a new car and it's now in the shop, believe it or not. That's a freaking story and a half. I'll shorten it up if you want to hear it. But yeah, like, well, basically what happened was I got a new car because my lease was up, and I went and got a new car, and then I just got window tinting done on it, and then literally like an hour or two after the window tinting got put on, all of my light sensors were going off, saying like your APS braking and your lane assistance and just all these warning signs. Your brakes don't work properly. Like all that started like malfunctioning. So I just took it straight to the dealer on Saturday, and so now I'm actually out of a car for a couple days. So outside of that, though, everything's good. Awesome. I totally agree with that. I cannot understand the copy of one to one with other works for fan art. Yeah, fan art's something you can definitely make it your own, and that's what's cool about it. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're not gonna do everything all at once. That would be crazy. So instead, we're gonna invert this a little bit, and then we're gonna lower the intensity, and just with a nice big brush, we're just gonna start kind of painting on it. It's eventually gonna cap. The reason why I'm doing a nice like big brush but with a lower intensity is that I just kind of want to see it progress a little bit and just have a little bit more control. So something like that, right? Then if I go ahead and I clear that out, now what we can do here is I can either re-dynamish it, and I can also just drop the open up the smooth, drop RPG, RGP, Jesus, turn off RGB, and just do a slow, smooth relax on it, and kind of blend that in just a little bit. Say something like that. There you go. And let's take a look at our decisions and see how that's starting to look. Not too bad, not too bad. Okay, great. Now with something like this, thick skin, when I re-dynameshed it, thick skin turned off naturally. That's something to remember. You can see here it's now off. So when something like that happens, if you wanted thick skin to be on the whole time, then don't dynamesh it, just leave it on, and then just come through and just do your light smooth anyway. And that's going to just keep that thick skin on, so you don't have to like turn it back on. But it's kind of cool because again, thick skin is actually thick skin is control Zable, so you can go back if you did turn that off. And so now we can start making new scales. But what's fun about this, let's say I wanted this one a little bit bigger and I turn this on. Because I didn't turn it off that time, I can actually blend that in with the original. If I turned it off and turned it back on, which I'll demonstrate right now, if I turn this off and then turn it back on and then try to blend that in, it won't work because now it's going to recalculate and it's going to include those bumps. So it's important to know that turning it off and on again resets that. But in this case, I just back this up. I can always extend this out and make this a little bit more unique, which is really cool. So just kind of a little trick of the trade. Doing good too. Nice. You just woke up 7 a.m. there. Wow. Happy Monday for you. I'm going to start making these just a little bit smaller as we move down parts of his back and shoulder. I have to say, this is like super cathartic for me to come in here and just add these like tiny little scales and stuff, little bumps. This is actually, if you'd seen my Rexy model I did a little bit ago for Coach.com, this is actually how I did all of those scalings on that kind of cartoon style body. And I'm not really caring about the shape so much. Enough. Back that up just a second and tighten that. All right. Go. Now we don't want to move. This is actually something I'm thinking about too. We don't want to move this type of detailing into the soft tissue area. Anywhere there's like something that's moving and bending, anything that gets that deformation, there wouldn't be the super rough scaling there because ultimately that wouldn't make sense. That would be too hard for the body to move. So usually like things like this type of design would be on something that has like more stiffness to it, it's thicker, more like his back needs to be naturally protected from weaponry or claws and such. So it would make sense that these would be a little bit more on his backside and uh, not so much on those bendy areas. But that being said, as we move into some of this areas, so we want to like fade them out and kind of blend it in just a little bit with his body. So we'll just make sure that we're just keeping that nice transition. Happy Monday to you as well. Local day off, so chilling and ZBrushing at home. That's awesome. Yeah, we all need a nice day off. Great. Sharpen that up a little bit. Same thing. Come in here. All right. Okay, yeah, that's starting to look pretty cool. Let's go ahead and save that real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and just a little bit. Just give him just a little bit of neck folds here. I don't want to go too deep because I still have thick skin turned on. But I do kind of want to just redefine some of those softer areas real fast. Doing a little bit of just a smooth relax. Put that in just a little bit. Oh. Let's get some on his like shoulder area. These can go a little bit bigger, and then they can fade out just a little bit more. I just love this process too, because it's like you just get to like kind of paint these things with the mask, you know. So I'm actually going to kind of focus a little bit of a pattern going around here. Oh, perfect. Like I said, we'll have this kind of come down a little bit. Sharpen that up a little bit. So I also want to avoid round shapes. I don't want any round shapes because I feel like that's just going to not really look good in the long run. So I want to avoid having too many rounded corners. Yeah. This is the fun part. This is the stuff that I love. All right, and we'll kind of just like start having this taper off a little bit. So we'll start putting some littler ones right down here. Something like that. Again, avoiding the super round ones. Now, what's neat is I have a lot of spacing in between all of this stuff, but like I showed, we can actually end up blending that all kind of in, right? So we don't have to adhere to, uh, we don't have to like have a final design out the gate. We just need something that's close enough, and then we can end up coming through. There we go. Something like that. Go ahead and clear that mask. And then again, we're going to do just like a smooth relax. Gonna keep that little loosey-goosey. And so now we get to come through here and be like, okay, cool. Let's look at some of the stuff. So if I wanted to just kind of have these feel like a little bit more of a natural fall off, right? I can now just start coming in and redefining these one at a time. This is where that thick skin comes in because I don't have to worry so much about like, oh, do I have to like, make sure I stop at the right spot? Be like, nope. You just kind of come in here and you just start being like, okay, yeah, make this one have a little bit more of that kind of shape. Eventually it'll just catch up with itself. So that's the reason for this approach. Let's go ahead and hit save. You know what I think he needs too, though? I think we got to get him sandals. Looking at the concept a little bit, or at least like what is happening. It looks like our boy here in God of War 3 had sandals. They gave him sandals, which is pretty cool. So we actually should build some shoes for him as well. Why not? But he's starting to look a lot more Cyclopsy, which is really, really cool. So, okay. So we don't want his heart getting pierced too easily because that would not be cool for him, right? He has to give Kratos like a run for his money. So let's follow the shape of his chest a little bit. So again, we want to like kind of make sure we're avoiding big deformation areas. So maybe we'll go a little bit smaller in these areas here. You want to see something actually. So if I get this shape, like say something like this, let's go ahead and solid this up. Let's go ahead and inverse that. Like that. Again, we'll smooth relax. Okay, I'm actually going to try something. I'm going to hit the extract brush. So if you guys don't know, there's an extractor brush in here, drag rec. So I can actually come through here, hit G, and drag out and say, I want this shape right here. This will generate an alpha for me. See what this looks like. Might be usable. Then we can get a little bit more speed in that. All right, next week we gotta have the music fixed by next time too. That's a promise. Jamming on headphones. Wow, I'm really ZBrush think. My computer's choppy. Boy. Boy. Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear me right now, but my computer is like, this is actually a tall order. I'm actually pushing it a little bit, or the internet's going. I can't tell you which one it is. Yeah, I was trying to escape out of it, but it is yelling at me. Well, that's always fun. That's always fun. Why does my brain always get distracted during the detail stage? I'm good at blockout and low poly only. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. Um, yeah, I think that's honestly learning how to detail. That took a long time for me. Probably a lot longer than I wanted it to. So, um, I have to agree with you on that. A lot of it is I think too, like it's good to practice blackout. It's good to practice getting the shapes in there fast and keeping it super low. But then when you start pushing details, you really want to focus in on like what are you trying to achieve. And I think that's where sometimes like beginners or even intermediate and advanced users can actually like start if you don't have a clear picture of exactly where you want to go. Like, do you want to hit hyper realistic? Are you going truly realistic? Are you going stylized, but you need like micro details? All of that stuff's super important to figure out before you start that. Me, I'm always kind of pushing in kind of a hyper realistic side of things with the intent of pushing it to reality. However, not too much because I feel like the whole point of being an artist is to exaggerate everything and the way I see and perceive reality. So yeah, so it really is like, but I totally get what you're saying because it's like you're just watching and all of a sudden, boom, you black out, and you're just like, I don't know, it's too easy to get lost. I think because also too, it could be pretty repetitive. Robedian is back. Oh my god. Ah, okay. It happens. It happens. That's why I test everything. Robedian is back though. Am I still a robot now? I think I need a new GPU, guys. I think I like that's like legitimately needs to happen. I think it's time. Okay, how much work did I lose? Which was my own fault. Oh, not too much. Yeah, okay, great. Now it's okay? Yeah, I think my GPU is starting to go. Augusto, thanks for the follow, man. Yeah, okay, great. So this is where we are. Okay, so the cool part is, so this is why Thickskin is one of my favorite tools right now, especially for doing details like this, is it's still turned on because I saved the ZTL. So having that turned on when the ZTL's there, oh, that is such a lifesaver. Now it's perfect. Okay, great. Perfect. All right, so we won't do that extractor one again because I feel like maybe I was, asking too much. That's okay. That happens. So let's just go ahead and continue doing the thing we were doing. And then we'll also get some sandals and stuff did today. The cool part is I do plan on kind of inflating these a little bit closer together. I'm just more getting the basic shapes of things in here. And then we'll actually make that decision as we go along. Okay, the other thing too is I want to avoid doing this. Like that's not good. So I want to mix it up a little bit, right? Maybe maybe like make this one just a little bit bigger this way. Do stuff like this. Just kind of like break that stuff up just a little bit. Thank God for autosaving. You know it. You know it. That's how we do. Why we save. I've never met a program that doesn't crash. No. I want to kind of take a look at everything, see how this is feeling. I think that's super important too, especially with the details. Going back to that detail comment earlier, I feel like that's the biggest thing is like when I'm detailing a lot, I tend to focus in on areas in which like I'm like, okay, I need to really just pay attention to this, and then I need to take a step back and then look at it again. Because the thing is, I feel like we get just like I learned this actually in photo retouching when I used to do photo retouching professionally. We would sit there and we'd be super hyper fixated on all the cleanup on the face, and then we'd zoom out and it looks terrible. And that's such a reality, it's not even funny. So the same kind of approach, I feel, is really just like really when you're in there, take a step back every once in a while, hit that F key. Ultimately, it will let you see from afar how it's looking, and I think that will give you a really good indicator of if your details are looking the way you want them to look. So go ahead and hit F, clear that out. Yeah, yeah, there we go. And what I was thinking was, again, kind of giving him a little bit of a thicker hide here, but kind of making these a little bit closer ultimately, now that I have them relatively where I want them to be. Could start kind of getting this pushed in a little bit more. How do you make your pen pressure at max already? Even at 100% is never really as hard as my mouse. So great question. I'll go ahead and plop that on there real quick. Heady Dream. So actually the easiest way to do this is go up to preference, go up to tablet, and just turn off use tablet. And immediately it's 100%. Like that kills your pen pressure out the gate. I do this when I'm painting using Polygroup It. So turning that on, you'll be light, but then when I go here and I say use pen, it's already like it's just 100%. Even super light, it's just 100%. So you can go ahead and do that, and that will act more like a mouse, but you'll have the control of the pen. Then, of course, too, I'm using thick skin as well, which gives me a cap. And that cap is really nice because I don't have to worry about whether or not it's going to stop where I need it to be. It's going to stop exactly where I want it because I have full control on that. So I just never have to worry. I just get to lay in my sculpt and just go, 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 go. And what's cool too, right, is that if you ever like this is 27.003, you could be more precise with things. But if you ever needed to like erase some of this stuff, you could just go down to 0 and then you could start painting over a lot of this, and then you'll just start erasing all of that detail that you've been working on. But as you can see here, sometimes it's not always 100% perfect. So, but again, I could just Control Z a bit, and that'll take me right back to where I started. You are so welcome. Yeah, so I really want to get these kind of a little bit closer. Gives it that nice organic shape. Go. Yeah, and I could just do a little bit of a light smooth just in some areas. What's fun too is I don't have to mask anything. I could just start adding my own. The only reason why I was masking was to kind of just like was to just kind of give it like some direction of what I wanted to do. But that's the fun part is that I don't have to actually come through and mask anything. I could just start adding. For this, I'm actually using that super hard alpha, the default one that it comes with, because I want kind of a little bit of a scaly lip to it. I want to avoid round ones, so I'm going to kind of square them off a little bit. It's starting to look pretty good. There we go. There's a fly flying around my face. I got a house fly. He just ran into my face right now. I was like, what? Right. All right. So yeah, just coming through and just getting some nice shapes in here. This one I'm actually going to kind of connect here. That's feeling a little bit nicer, a little bit cooler. And then two, what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to see something. So let's experiment for a bit. So I'm going to take the inflate brush just a teeny bit. And with the inflate brush, just see what happens if I kind of hit him a little bit. Interestingly enough, that almost just flattens them out just a little bit and kind of spreading them out just like a little bit more. Pretty cool. Liking the effect that's having. What other projects are you guys working on? Anything fun and exciting you can talk about? All right. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pause on this for a little bit. So I like where this is going, but I don't like to stay in one area too long. I like to move around a bit, especially since we're only going to be streaming for a couple hours a day. So let's actually do this. So I actually like the way this scales is, and I'm going to remember this kind of 27 being the kind of the ideal cap that we're on here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And let's just move on to get him some actual sandals created. So I'm going to go ahead and Control Shift D, which duplicates any one of those subtools. And then we're going to move down, and I'm just literally going to solo this. We're going to chop off his foot, say something like this. And I'm also going to work on just one side. When it comes to shoes, sandals, boots, whatever, anytime footwear, I like to work on just the one, get that lice, and then just mirror and weld. It's way easier. So let's go ahead and delete hidden. And then for this, okay, cool. So let's do this. We're going to inflate this guy. Whoa, calm down there, Turbo. So what happened was right there. So this, what happened is thick skin is still turned on, and we just want to turn that off because we just chopped off the whole foot. Let's redynamesh this. There we go. And then now at this point, we can do one of two things. We can either just like straight up like try to do a manual retopo, or actually what I'd like to do, or what I'm going to attempt to do here, is we're going to use a new feature here. So I'm going to go to knife curve, and then I'm going to go ahead and press and hold spacebar and say split into parts with groups turned on. And the reason why is I'm going to go ahead and cut this. So now this actually, what this allows me to do is this will split a section. And then I'm going to go ahead and do another section like this. Do it. It freaking did it. Okay, that's my fault. Why is that my fault? Because the mesh was not clean. It's two. I'm going to have a crash count. No! All right, that's fine. Life works. Okay, it's going to be your guys' job to figure out how many times Ian breaks ZBrush today. There we go. Let's do this again. Let's go ahead and Control-Shift-D. We'll duplicate that. Solo this out. I'm going to go ahead and just grab the foot and grab the other foot like that. Here's what we're going to do. We're not going to get fancy. Delete hidden. Let's go ahead and do this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to redynamish this at a lower resolution. So make a change to the mesh. Let's go even lower. Even lower than that. Let's go super low. And let's actually get his toesies in here. And let's do that. There we go. Okay, great. Now let's clean our mesh. So let's do this and this. So then we have that section. And now we're going to do the same thing. So knife curve into split parts. Boom. And boom. So, and right here. So now this is working. Let's polygroup it. So let's cut this right here. And then let's cut this right there. Because I want this section. There we go. So now I have all of this, which is wild how that's working. So now we can just go ahead and let's get rid of this guy. So let's go ahead and go delete hidden. And there we go. So we have a kind of a simplified-ish base that we can work with, right? And now let's go ahead and let's clean this up a bit. Let's do that guy. There we go. Same thing, auto groups. Grab this. There we go. That's a lot better. So this way, the reason why I'm doing it this way, by the way, is because I don't want to pay attention. I don't want to pay attention to the size of his foot. I just want to know that I have something that is close enough for what we're going, and then we can clean up the rest. So here I can just make some changes and work with this exactly as I want and get the proper sandal shape that I'm looking for without guessing. Now it's still super like low and not 100% correct, so we're going to go ahead and get this fixed up. Spam for sandals. AQ, what's happening? Why are we Dylan slicing the foot? We're making sandals. Yeah. How you doing, AQ? Thanks for being here. It's been a while. Only if you approve, though. All right. Okay. Now, at this point, actually, I'm not going to split into groups here. So this gives me a relatively decent mesh to work with. I want the single-sided geometry, so I'm going to go ahead and delete hidden. Kind of move this up. Know where that foot is at. And let's go ahead and I'm going to use crease. So I'm going to hit just crease, and that's going to crease all the edging around the entire shoe. So we'll just look at this section right here, kind of move that out just a little bit. And then now we're going to go ahead ZBrush, and we're just going to keep our creases. And let's just start with the same, and let's see what we get. Just go half, half, half. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. Yep. I always like to just kind of repurpose similar geometry and then just remake it for what I need. Yeah, I think that'll work out pretty nicely. Let's go ahead and Q mesh, give ourselves some thickness. Say something like that. And actually, before we do that, what we can do is we can scale this up just a little bit. Have a little bit of overlap. Something like that. Yeah, now he has a little bit of like overhang, which we can actually still scale that down just a bit. There we go. Now I'm going to want a strap going between his toesies. So we need to fix his toesies for a second. Let's come on up. Awesome. Go say something like that, and then let's go ahead and just do. So how's it going, A Cube? How's life? And everybody, please say hi, Cube, if you hadn't already. Toe floss, exactly. Toe that like button. There you go. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna just kind of move this up just a little bit. Let's just go ahead and toe up. There we go. I'm not really worried about too much that it kind of broke just a little bit. That's okay. I'm just getting some space to have that toe floss. That should be good. Yeah, that should be fine. The rest can be merged together. That's fine. So let's ungroup that and let's re-mesh. It's good chilling. When did you commandeer the stylus? So that's a good question. Last month, actually. Yeah, Mike and Brad just invited me onto the show. Said, "Hey, you want to do your own show?" And I was like, "That sounds amazing." What's funny is actually I've been wanting to do my own like personal streams again, but just like time to set that up, time to get things going. Like my day to days are so wild, it's not even funny anymore. So for me, I was just like, so when we brought it up and we were talking about it, I'm like, oh, this would be awesome because then it's like it's a group effort and we get to all kind of hang out from time to time. So it doesn't always have to be solo streams. Um, so yeah, win-win. Oh, thanks. Yeah, the guys are great. All right. Now let's get some toe floss action here. So do. How do I want to do this? I'm thinking about just well, first things first. It looks like too. I just want to kind of like I'm thinking about having it strand off here, and then maybe so like here, let's do this. Let's draw out our own design here. So if I were to fill this with just a white color, then flip it to black, Let's just solo this out. And let's go to preference, tablet, turn off that pen pressure, right? So I can have a strap come in like this, come in like that, say. So your typical, like, usually your typical sandal approach to things. Yeah, maybe something like, yeah, say something like that. That'd be kind of cool. And then we could do one where, like, maybe it comes around. I don't like that as much. Yeah, I don't really like that as much. Yeah, let's keep it simple. Let's just do something like that. I think that will be just fine. Also, what happened right there? There's not sure what happened there, but Control Z enough and things go away. Okay. And do the wrist move. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's come on back and let's just get some basic toe strap in here. So actually what I'm thinking about doing, let's just see if we can do this pretty simple. Let's take, where are we? Let's go curve. I know you're here, flat curve snap. Gonna come up to picker and look at the depth. Okay, it's set to continuous, which is good. So I'm literally just gonna just start drawing this out. Say something like, maybe something like this. Yeah, that's good. And I'll angle that right there. All right. We're gonna go ahead and just split hidden. So subtool, split, split hidden. And actually, let's put this in a folder and call these sandals. Let's see if Ian can spell correctly. Perfect. And now what's cool about this is we can come in here and we can just kind of skinny that up a little bit. And then if I hit D for dynamic, of course, it's going to make that naturally a little bit thinner. So let's go ahead and just make that just a bit more. And then let's pull out our Z modeler, so BZM. Let's come over here and let's do an extract, or an extrude rather. There we go, say something like that. That'll work nicely. Actually, let's back that up for a second. Let's just take the move brush and just pull this straight down. Go. Okay. Yeah, that's looking nice. Okay, and then let's do the same thing. Let's just go ahead and extrude that down like such. Cool. Now it's creased at the moment, so let's do this. Let's do crease, uncrease all. So it gets a little bit skinnier like that. And then let's add our own edge loop support. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then we can actually add another one so that stops from it coming out. We can just pull this straight down, boop, all the way. There we go. And we can just add in our own edge loop. And that will do something along those lines. And then we can clean this up. Go. That's one toe strip. Now I'm just going to Control Shift D, and then I'm just going to go ahead and just mirror this guy. Be a little bit lazy. Lazy's okay. Now we're just going to go ahead and just do delete, delete, and then let's go ahead. Delete, delete, down like that. Rotate this, move that in like such. Go ahead and do some manual movement. Boom, boom. Okay. I'm gonna move some of this into place. There we go. A little bit of an overlap. Now I can clean this guy up like this. There we go. Probably could have just, actually just remade one. I feel like I just literally killed this one. That's okay. This will work out. We'll make it work. I'm too stubborn to stop now. There we go. Yeah, this is looking. Okay, that should be fine. When in doubt, let me do it the hard way, but that's all right. Little tenacity and stubbornness, and we'll make it work. Keep hitting the wrong keys. I'm going to add a line here. Pull that up just a little bit. There we go. Then we'll need to add some thickness here soon. That's fine. Okay, let's take a step or 3 back. Let's go ahead and just hit save. How do you keep sculpting, concentrating, and talking at the same time? I find it very hard and confusing. Oh man, that's a fun story. Actually, I worked. Okay, I worked actually really like stupid hard on it. Um, so I used to have public speaking issues back when I was like all the way through school, like middle school, high school, and even in my early adult life, I had a hard time with just speech in general. It's almost like I would trip over my words, which you can hear still sometimes. Like there are times you could be like, "Oh yeah, no," um, but like I would trip over my words. I would lose focus on what I wanted to say, and so long story longer, I basically really loved Call of Duty back when like Modern Warfare 2 was around and then Black Ops, etc. And at this time, I was like trying to get into YouTube because YouTube was new, like live streaming wasn't a thing yet. But like commentary videos were, and I was just so in awe of people being able to articulate their gameplay and articulate the way they wanted to do things. So it was like quite inspiring, and I was always so self-conscious of the way I would of my public speaking skills or lack thereof. So I decided that I was like, you know what? I actually want to I want to get good at that. So Um, and I was already looking at doing a YouTube channel. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I started recording some of my videos, and then this is 0.015. Okay. So then I was recording my YouTube videos for the first time, and um, and in doing that, I was having a hard time like saying what I wanted to say, writing a script. I wasn't a very good writer. And then right around this time, I noticed that live streaming um, had made an introduction, but before live streaming made an introduction, at least in the Call of Duty world, there was a couple players. I'll name them out, like White Boy 7th Street, Extras. If you know, you know. They actually they were recording themselves making the commentaries on these videos in real time. So, like, they were talking and recording, so they were playing, talking, recording, all of that, and then they would just post that video. So when when live streaming became popular, they were already kind of doing that. So then they, instead of just uploading those videos, they now just started live streaming, and that became a thing. And so when I was in this world, I was like, dude, this is really cool. So I started trying to do that, and eventually created a few YouTube channels with some friends, and I just worked really hard to just like speak and perform at the same time, um, just to get over the fear of public speaking, which is so bizarre. What a modern way to do it. And but it served me super well after the fact. So that's essentially how I ended up doing it. And then that skill just started playing really well to my strengths when I started wanting to get into being an artist full time and just move into this world. I had already had a ton of that, of creating YouTube videos and like being a part of like recording myself and giving advice to the community with like video games play. So it was actually kind of a nice transition to see that that was happening here. So I just ended up kind of walking into this space and had already worked on that. I still have to from time to time like really think about what it is I'm trying to do. Like there are sometimes I'll get stumped. And when I do that, you could tell actually, if you watch me closely, um, when I stop sculpting, I'm too busy thinking about what I want to say. But yeah. But since I had to give the like what am I doing as I'm doing it in real time playing Call of Duty, that works out well here. So I just moved to this, and here we are. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's do this. So I'm going to go ahead and take these straps here. I'm going to go ahead and move these down. So let's go ahead and I didn't mean to copy that. Let's go to merge down. Say yep, that's fine. And then we're going to call these the sandal straps. And then this would be the sandal base. All about that base. All that base. Yeah, if it's off topic from what you're doing, it's really hard. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're designing too. 100%. Yeah. See, I think it's one of those things where like it's one of those skill sets that like I don't know, I've just found it super useful, uh especially when wanting to like the desire to want to help teach and give back a little bit. Like it it definitely made it easier. I'm super grateful I did that. It's just yeah, it's an interesting thing. But yeah, I love it. Reedy says I tried to stream a while ago, had 0 viewers, so it was not difficult at all as I didn't have much of time. Yeah, actually, okay, so dude, I relate to that so much, man, because that actually my first my first streams on my personal channel, oh man, I remember those being like some of the worst. The thing that I did that I can't remember where I heard it. I didn't think of it myself, but I remember hearing it somewhere. But they were like, just have your friends in the stream, like, and like what, just like tell like one or two friends, like go in there and stream, like have a viewer, right? And so anyway, so I did that. So I asked my best friend, I asked my girlfriend, I asked my brother. I was like, "Can you all just like go into my stream and hang out and talk with me?" And but even still, like they were just hanging out as viewers, and sometimes they would chat. But I would just still practice talking about my workflow through. If you could like, I don't think I have them anymore, but when I was first like actively streaming heavily during the start of the pandemic, a lot of my like 2 or 3 viewer streams were me talking about the whole process like I do now. But like, yeah, nobody was really like it. I was more talking to myself on that, but it was good practice, which is nice. But I think there's something there's like it's definitely good to have. I always found there being like really good like uh power in knowing how to in the ability to like just say what you're doing. So it was a skill I definitely wanted to focus in on. Yeah, it helps a lot to teach or train at work. The skill set is elite for sure. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. I would say two. It's like I would say two. Even like even if you don't teach professionally full time, I think it is still like such a invaluable skill to have. Just because I feel like there's if you have a colleague that comes over and it's just like, "Hey, how'd you make that shield?" Like, even just that conversation, you can be like, "Oh, yeah, here's the tools I use. Here's what I did." And you're able to like kind of call back to that a little bit. Um, I think that's super useful because I remember the day not being able to speak about how something was done. I remember the exact day that actually bothered me, and it actually was in when I used to take Taekwondo and Hapkido. I was like it's like 22, 23, and I was getting into teaching it. And that's the thing too. I used to teach martial arts, and so I had a lot of experience there. Like my grandmaster was always about showing new things. But I remember the day it really bothered me was when a good friend of mine, Master Raymore, he was like he could do this 540 kick and it was beautiful. And I was on the demo team and I was like really just enthralled with the fact that his kick looked amazing. My kick looked horrible. It wasn't even functional. Like I'm tall, like I'm 6'4", right? So it's I'd like trying to swing my leg up and over and staying parallel to the ground. I was having a hard time. So, but his looked amazing. And so I would go to him and I was just like, "Hey, out of curiosity, how do you do that? Like, can you show me how you do a 540 kick?" And he looked at me and he was like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem." So he was just like, "Okay, so I it's like, mm. He's like, well, he's like, hold on. And then he does a 540 kick. And then he's like, so I do that. And I was like, bro, that's not helpful at all. Like, you literally showed me nothing. You showed me a 540 kick, but you showed me nothing. And he was like, honestly, I don't know. He's like, I just clicked for me one day. And I was like, okay, like, can we try to break it down? And like, we spent like 20 minutes trying to break it down, and it still did not click in my head. And it was just not helpful. And I went home frustrated. And I'm like, how can he not show me like how can he not teach this to me? Like I was like really bothered by it. It bothered him too because we ended up like really like figuring it out like a week later. But it was one of those things where like it bothered me, and that was the day I was like, I need to like learn how to explain these things. I need to be able to do this because if I'm not able to do so, then well then how can anyone else learn from me, right? If I end up doing something that's worthy of teaching, I want to be able to be able to express that. And I'm so grateful for that experience. What I'm going to do too, I'm going to auto group this, and then I'm also going to mirror and weld this one more time. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I want to be able to. So I don't like this rainbow. Well, not rainbow. It's like this kind of like McDonald's arch thing going on here, right? So I want to actually like kind of fix this a bit. So I'm going to go back here to the curve flat snap. And I'm going to draw a smaller brush size. I'm going to do this across because I want to be able to bring this across the foot the rest of the way. Make this look like a straight piece. So let's grab the curve. Nope, wrong one. That's the bridge tool. Let's just in that line. Let's just grab the move brush. And we'll brute force this until I'm happy with it. And okay, so everything about the Cyclops is literally getting in my way. So let's go back to, I think it was V3, V4. It was V whatever I want to make it. That's so stupid. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and pick this. That's all masked off. And let's move that. Let's see. Oh, great. Sorry. Thanks, man. Hey, and is starting Q&A at Larian or any big studios is still a good way to make my way into 3D artist, or should I keep applying for 3D artist? Well, let me ask you a question. Like, starting at big studios is really hard typically if you don't have a lot of experience in the art in this industry. If you don't have a lot of experience, a lot of big studios are looking for people that have a lot of experience. So if you're trying to apply for Activision or Blizzard or Sony Santa Monica, right? Usually those positions that they're leaning on, while there are people that have gotten internships and there are people who've definitely gotten into those studios sooner, at an earlier age, maybe from like they had a college internship or whatnot. Like it is possible. However, I would find it a lot more difficult because a lot of times if you're looking for a job, then they want people with as much experience as possible, as does any studio. However, there's a lot of like lower tier studios, like double A studios or like indie studios that you'll end up doing a lot more. Like you'll wear a lot more hats, but you'll get a lot more experience quicker, and you can grow pretty quickly in those. That's actually why I focused on freelance when I was starting my career. And then I hooked up with a couple really small toy companies. And then those toy companies gave me experience that eventually led me to bigger jobs like the coach job and eventually Funko. So starting out small has its benefits. The issue, of course, too, is finding those studios. Where are they, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really, like you really want to try to apply it to as many places as possible, which I find tends to be the more helpful. I mean, right now, though, just full transparency, like the industry is a lot of people are laying people off, which is tough. So there is a little bit of a struggle at the moment, depending on what you're going for. That being said, on a positive note, if you know ZBrush, don't just think films, games, or even toys. There are a lot of other industries. There's jewelry, there's architecture, there's automotive. Like I'm actually talking to a buddy of mine who is, scanning cars and then making body kits or custom 3D printable parts for a car, like which is like a real thing. Like actually watched this channel there. They took a 2024 GR Corolla and they ended up getting somebody who scanned the car, did a 3D printed body kit for it. They molded the kit to the car, sent it back, and now they're setting up proper molds to get the right the right materials for the final result. So there are a ton of industries in which you can do. It's not just games or film, but if you want to work in games and film, then just kind of follow. First look at the studios you want to be a part of. Like if you want to be at Blizzard, for example, like you want to work at Overwatch, right? Well, then you kind of need to make sure that you can match Overwatch style. If you want to work at Capcom, you want to make sure that you can match their style. So if you love Resident Evil, like I do, or Street Fighter, right? Then that might be something you want to push that towards. So building a portfolio to a specific studio will help you get noticed by that studio, but ultimately you kind of want to like fish around. And if you're still trying to get experience and you just need a job, look at some indie studios, see what's in your area, go on LinkedIn, go on Instagram, and like find these studios, DM them, talk to people. Like, a lot of networking can get involved, but um, however you want to, however you want to ultimately, where you want to end up being, you want to make sure you're catering yourself to that position. So hopefully that helps. We have the McRib now. Introduce the McFoot. Order with extra toe. Yeah, toe jam. We need to get a little toe jam. I'm going to end up merging all of this together and then cleaning this up and then redoing it. So um, let's actually do this. Not redoing it, but I'm going to be merging it all together. Um, Sometimes when I don't quite know exactly what I want the final shape to be, I will end up just, designing around it, noodling a bit, and then getting something that looks the way I want it to be. Okay, that's the one I wanted. All right. Okay, so actually I see now why it's giving me a little bit of issue here. So let me come over here and insert an edge loop here and here. There we go. Yeah, that's nicer. Put an edge loop right there. Okay. Okay, you're off for the night. See you later. Hey, thank you, AQ, for coming by. Have a great night. And 2 hours is almost done. What the heck? How did that happen? Because we're having fun. Okay. So I can either fight this specific look all day long, right? Or what we can do is we can get it close enough, we can merge it, we can dynamesh it, and then we can ZBrush it, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead here, and we're going to go ahead and apply this. So this looks like one piece here, and then we're going to go ahead and dynamesh. Now, actually, before we dynamesh, I'm going to divide a few times, give me a little bit more topology. And then I'm going to go ahead and get a resolution. There we go. Say something like that. Okay, now that I have something like this, let's bring in a fun brush. And a shout out to a buddy of mine, Mr. Shane Olson. Let's go ahead and get the fill brush. And let's go ahead and make sure that we set that fill brush to backface mask. And then we're just going to go ahead and start filling in some of these issues. Say something like that. Gives me a little bit more of a cleaner surface. Oh, that's perfect. Let's actually resculpt this. So let's make that something like that. There we go. And then we'll take trim dynamic and just kind of clean that up just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Absolutely what I wanted. There we go. Okay. I don't really need to worry about that so much. All right, let's go ahead and hit save real fast. And then we're going to go ahead here and let's do this. So we're going to go ahead and go ZRemesher. I'm going to kick this at about a 10. And then let's go ahead and say, yeah, that should be good. Also, Ian, hold on one second here. Let's see. Those toenails need to trim. Yeah, they do. These toenails are nasty. Also, Ian, when we start teaching people we then only realize the things we actually know and do subconsciously in our process. So many times I'm surprised I knew a particular thing. 100%, dude. 3D Manic, 100%. I can't agree more with that sentence. There are so many times where I personally just started explaining how I did something and immediately realized either A, a better route, or B, exactly what was entailed in that process. Because sometimes we just do things subconsciously, like you're saying. So 100% agree with you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do half on this. Okay, so the problem here is that I do want to, I'm going to do something. I'm going to go here and I'm going to polish this resolution, turn that on. Yeah, let's polish that just a teeny little bit. Let's do H polish. Okay, I'm going to kind of just define some edging here a little bit better. The H polish is going to be my best friend here. It's really just going to get those nice hard edges. Also, too, I noticed that when I explain things, it was funny the other day. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I ended the sentence with "so." There's that, and then he was just like, he heard me say "so," and then I stopped, and then he was like, "Did you have something more to say?" And I was like, "Oh no, I just sometimes will end a sentence with the word so," and I don't know why I do that. So I've been a little bit. I've found little little quirks about me that I'm like, I don't know why I said that, but I did. So there's that. All right, let's do this. Let's do not half. Let's actually do 20 this time, but we're gonna go ahead and say detect edges and keep groups with that smooth groups down. We're gonna do that because I want to see if we can actually detect those edges a little bit nicer. I'm gonna repolish this with that redynamesh with that polish feature, right? Hopefully keep those nice hard edges the way I want. This way, and actually, I want this to be a little bit smoother, so we'll say something like that. Great. Now, there could have been another way to go about doing it. The way I did it was just kind of more of like I originally thought I was going to have individual straps, and then I realized I wanted to make one big thing. So ultimately, like, there's a couple different ways we could have done this, but this is one way that I like to do when I'm feeling a little bit more in the sculptural mood. So I'm going to go ahead and just make that nice and clean, and then we're going to go ahead and say let's ZBrush that. And actually, I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to press and hold Control up here at the top and add that history marker first. Let's give that a go. Yeah, it happens to me so many times. It gets awkward a few times. Travis says he does that too. Yeah, right? Hey, and how much of a difference a display tablet makes over a tablet? Could you go back to a pen tablet? Absolutely, yes. That's a great question. I'm actually going to highlight that on the stream right now. Boom, fantastic question. So here's the thing. I actually use a pen display like now, and I also use just a pen tablet. So I use both. I use Wacom and I also use XP Pen and I also use SenseLab. SenseLab being the newest, and I actually just have this newer one. I'm a I'm a bigger guy, so I have a big wingspan. So I do find for me personally that the display tablets on an articulated arm like this, where I can position it however I want, even like have it down here. That way my shoulder doesn't give out. Like that's important. So a lot of times I do that for comfort and ease of use. But I have a just normal pen tablet, and I go back and forth. I found that in the beginning, I favored the display over the pen pressure or the pen tablet normal. But ultimately, as of late, I found that it's been easier now that I've been doing this for a long time. That going back and forth is not that big of an issue. The only thing is like I'll tend when I'm working long hours, like after the stream here in a few minutes, I'm going to be like getting up, walking around, and so forth. But I find that like being able to sit upright and have a good comfortable position is really helpful. Um, And that's the key to any tablet you use. If like when I was using a just a normal tablet when I first started doing, I was like this, like constantly head down, because this is how I used to draw. And drawing like that, you're gonna have neck problems. You're gonna have like you're just doing this is not good. like it's just not good for you. So in that long term use, I was using that pen and the screen was up here. This is actually the reason why I switched to the display. So I didn't have to change. But then I realized that my shoulders started getting problems, my neck was getting stiff, my back muscles were getting achy. So I changed the way I do things. So with the pen pressure up, a lot of times I'm looking up like this. And you'll notice that the way I'm working right now with this pen display, yeah, I'm here, but I'm still upright and I'm still facing it. So I just changed the way I sit, which makes it easier to go back and forth. And I have it kind of hovering over here a little bit. So I would say ultimately, that's yeah, that's the approach that I take, and it seems to work out fairly well. So hopefully that's helpful. But it is a personal, like it is a personal choice. Whatever you decide, I say try both if you can. Like if you're able to, if you're a friend of yours or a colleague has one, and you're on the fence about getting a display tablet, give it a shot. Be like, hey, can I work on, can I play with it for a little bit? Usually, when you buy your first one, I got a bit of buyer's remorse when I did it. My first one was the 16-inch XP Pen Artist one, and it was too small for me. It was tiny, but my hand's massive, right? So it was too small, and it just wasn't like the best thing that I liked. But then like after a couple days of trying it, I got used to it, and it was a lot better. So really, I guess my overall point here, as I ramble on, which is basically give it a shot, try it out. But you can go back and forth, especially if you've used both before in the past. In fact, I do that on a quite regular basis. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm getting this weird little. Now, I don't need this to be super sharp edged here, but I'm not liking the way this is flowing. So I'm going to back this up for a second. And this is where I think, in my opinion, one of my favorite brushes that is not used by many, and this is the ZBrush guide. And why I like this, I'm going to turn on stroke lazy mouse and kick this up a bit. The reason why I like this is that you can actually guide the way you want your edge loops to flow. So I definitely want my edge loops like this, right? Now you don't have to go crazy here. Like this is the fun part, right? You just need a few lines. I'm gonna do something like this. This is where lazy mouse is cool because I could just make nice strokes like this. I'm actually gonna turn off the history on this point. I don't think I need more than this, but I'll do one more. I can continue a line too. If you didn't know, you just get close enough to it. You can actually start second line. Closer, it adds tail. There we go. So I'm saying this is where I want my edge loops to flow. Very helpful answer. Awesome. Not a problem. Yeah, you agree the pen with a display pen, an arm to mount it on is necessary so it could be positioned high enough to not make not hunch over, next is wrecked. Yeah, exactly. You want to take care of yourself. Absolutely. Okay, so now here with these guides, I want to kick up my curve strength. I'm going to go crazy and go 100%, but the reason why I want to do this is because I'm getting some crunchy effects happening in this area, and I don't like that. So this should, in theory, help me get a little closer to this. It also could just not be enough edge loop support. We don't want to change too many things at once. Just like troubleshooting a 3D printer or a car, you don't want to start changing a million things and hope that it's going to work. You want to change one thing at a time. So if this still doesn't give me the results I want, I'll probably increase my target polygons, but this should be a little bit more helpful in the way that ZBrush is going to look at how the edge loops should flow. So let's see what we got there. Yeah, there we go. That's a lot better, which is nice. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually say half, and I'm going to retry this. Okay, and we'll go half one more time. See how low we can go on this. I'm still getting a little bit of a weird crunchy here. That's okay. That's not too bad, right? Because my edge loop is actually still going really nicely here. Not so nice over here, but that's okay. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and let's see. We're going to project. So let's go up to subtool and let's go ahead and project some history. So I'm going to project the details here. And I know this is super low. Oh, that's gross, actually. Let's project that one more time. Divide a little bit. Yeah, that's all one piece, which is fine. Not the cleanest mesh, but that's okay. Be good enough for what we are going for, which is fine. I'm also going to, real quickly here, I'm going to start squishing this in just a little bit. So I'm going to come in here, soften this up. Yep. Yes. Yes. There we go. Perfect. Scoot that in. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. Great. So we're going to go ahead here now. So I need this to be merged on the other side. Now I did just go through and subdivide it, right? So now, of course, I can't just mirror and weld. So I'm going to go ahead and delete lower, modify topology, mirror and weld, and then I'm going to reconstruct my subdivisions. So now I have that reconstructed subdiv on both sides, which is just what we want. Perfect. All right. Not a problem. Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to go for just a few more minutes. Let's take a look at a few things. And then the next time I stream, I'm definitely going to want to do some substance painter stuff. So we're going to be moving in. So there's still a lot of stuff I want to do here. So let's clean up the body just a little bit more. I want to add some more wrinkles and stuff to him. Just redefine him a little bit before we call it a day. And one of the things I want to do is I do want to give him a belly button. So we're going to now go to thick skin. So let's go back to thick skin, and thick skin is turned off. If I turn it back on, it's defaulted at that 27, and that's important. I don't want to move that slider. So let's go ahead and hit save. I do want to give him a little bit of a belly button. So let's move in and let's come here to alpha 18. Alpha 18 is my favorite alpha for working with the clay buildup. Let's go ahead and there it is. My S. Just gonna inflate that just a little bit. Actually, you know what? We should paint him. We should paint him before I go. So at least get an idea of how this color should look. other things I want to do. Yeah. Let's add some weight. Little bit of ridges right there. Now we should definitely give him like just a little bit of like crow's feet here. Just brings a little bit more realism or effects to the eye. Lip here. Oh, okay. Before we go too farther, let's give him some color. I think that's going to be a little necessary. I like to see the overall color scheme of it. So let's start painting him up a little bit. So let's hit save. Now the cool part, right, is we do have like some color reference again from a lot of what we're seeing here, but it seems that there's some tans, some dark greens, browns, a little bit of yellow to them, and then of course too we have some kind of bloodiness. But the thing is that all creatures, all people, a lot of things have subsurface scatter to it, and I like to kind of paint that in a bit. So we're going to first things first. We're going to go ahead and give them just a little bit of color. So let's do that. Let's also make these. There you go. Yeah, something like that. Okay. So I'm going to do this on the layer system because when I am indecisive about color, I'll use the layer system. That way I can always just turn it off. But at the end of the day, you can always just fill it back with white if you don't like it. But this will save me some grief. So here, I'm going to pick a bit of a kind of blood red color, a little bit darker than this, or something like this. And we're going to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and fill that color with RGB 100%. Yeah. Sorry, do you not want to fill that color for me? Why aren't we filling that color? Here, let's do this. Hold on a second. Yeah, should be color fill. Okay. Just want to be difficult today. Fine. Let's paint them red real fast. So done. Big brush. He's done. Okay, great. Perfect. So this is my blood color here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that and let's rename this and we'll just call this kind of like blood red, right? Oh, perfect. Let's go ahead and do another color here. Now we want to focus in on some of the highlight areas where light is going to be hitting. So for this, we're going to go with like kind of an orangish color, right? We can even just stop this ahead of time and say name and call this orange highlight. Highlight, we can start recording. And here now, let's actually tone that down just a little bit. We're going to start hitting some of the areas where a lot of light's going to be. A lot of light will be on the deltoid area, parts of the back. Dude, this is freaking awesome. Thanks, Leonard. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. This will be super helpful. This also will just make the character pop a bit. So there'll be some orange here. But you really just want to avoid a lot of crevices or too much brightness on areas that won't be super bright, right? So you want to just kind of avoid that. Now this is the first pass of like a highlight pass, so we're not going to go too crazy. But like here, there'd be a little bit of light that would hit the section. Here as well. Hit on the belly. Get in on the face a little bit. The face is fun because there's going to be orange here. Orange in the cheeks. On the ears. Chinny chin chin. Get a little bit on his neck. All right. Focus on his hands and fingies. Again, I'm not done detailing. We're not even really close with getting a whole lot of detail in here. We have a lot of the main shapes in, but you can see like his fingers are not refined. But before I get into a lot of that, for me, again, it's all about just kind of figuring out the look and feel. Refinement is something that I take a while to get to. I used to be a lot faster. I've slowed down a little bit, partly because A, I think my job affords me the luxury of being a little bit slower, but two, um, I've really been like trying to just be a better artist. And in doing so, I found that working really fast for me just isn't it. I know I can hone in and like if somebody tells me tomorrow, "Hey, can you make you know, a human skeleton?" And how long that would take you? Be like, "Dude, I'll knock that out in a couple days if that's our timeline, right?" But for all my personal work, I like to take my time. I like to really just like enjoy the process and really allow myself to learn from the experience. So color for me is something that I definitely like to lean more into these days and kind of just, you know, see the character a little bit more before we get into too much work and then realize maybe we don't like it as much. Okay, so his butt's hidden, but if he was naked, he would have a little bit of highlight going on there. Same thing on the heels, top. So this is what we're looking at right now. So this is really just going to help us get a lot of this color. All this is undertone color. This is something that's super important, right? And with painting, it's all about layers. All right, this looks pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and stop that. Let's just go ahead and save before we get too crazy with ourselves. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, now let's go ahead and let's start a new layer. I'm going to stop this for a second. Let's go ahead and rename this. And now we're going to call this yellow highlight. Yes. Yellow highlight. There we go. Hit record, and let's move into a more of a brighter yellow. And this is where we're going to be putting on like where it's going to be the brightest, right? So for example, here it's going to have some a little bit more yellow. This area, we can actually go a little bit brighter with this. Go. Top of his head is going to be a lot brighter. Parts on his back are going to be a lot brighter. Now I'm doing kind of a cleaner, do a little bit down here. I am doing a little bit more of a clean alpha pass, but you could definitely at this point, if you wanted to even go one step further, you can add a little bit of texture while doing this as well, because that's also going to be super important. So we can add a little bit of texture to his face, right? Which can kind of show off like a little bit of those like veins and things. So you don't have to keep it super clean. In fact, I'm switching to that now with a little bit of color spray. Reason two for the layer system is, of course, if we don't like it, we tone it down, slide it up, duplicate the layer. Like, there's a lot more you can do to that, right? Add some more on the knuckle area. There. Go. You can see I've kind of avoided the inside of the hand a little bit, but that's okay. This is our first pass. And what's cool about this too, so practice makes permanent, right? So for me, it's all about like, I'm going to be painting him in Substance Painter and using the final texture when we get to that point, right? But the thing is that Polypaint, what Polypaint allows us to do is we could keep it if we really like the paint job, and like as we move into the final products, you're like, yeah, this is awesome. Absolutely do it. You know what I mean? But the thing is that this gives me a little bit more practice too on where I ultimately am going to want, where I'm going to want or how I'm going to want to approach the painting in Substance Painter. So this is like helping guide me a little bit. So okay, so now we have that. Now what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and turn on another layer, and this time we're going to call this is our purple shadow. Okay. So, and then from here, I'm going to go up here and we're going to do ambient occlusion. I'm just going to turn it on. I'll let this compute for a second. I might be robotic. Okay. So now I have all this nice shadow in here. I'm going to inverse this. Okay. And I'm going to control H to hide that. We're going to grab a darker purple. And now here we're going to go with a lower RGB intensity. And we're just going to start. Oh, that's okay. For some reason, I don't think the fill object is actually working with the layer system. So not quite sure what's happening on that front, but that's okay. Go really dark. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the purple is coming through. So we're going to add some purple here, purple underneath. So really just focused in on a lot of the shadows. Now I'm going to take away actually that I'm going to go back to a little bit of a cleaner. Just going to be filling this in a little bit. Now I'm going to be focused a little bit more on just the crevices. It's okay to go a little bit over the highlights and stuff, but we do want to avoid too much. So we'll be a little bit gentle. Is it because the history? Maybe. That could be a good call out, Travis, actually. Not that I see. That was a great idea. I don't know, but it's okay. Let me dial back some of that. I've gone a little heavy in some areas, and I didn't mean to, but that's why we're on a layer system. So that's fine. Okay. So now we have something a lot more like this, which is pretty cool. All right. Yep. All right. I'm digging that. Let's go ahead and hit stop on that. And now for the fun part. Now, the fun part here is that we want to bring him to life. So we need to pick a color that makes the most sense. And what's pretty cool, of course, is that we do have a lot of this reference here. And I am wanting to have a little bit more of kind of this darker tone on him at first. So let's see if we can reference that. Let's check an older plugin. Z Color. Okay, so Z Color works on a single monitor. So let's come over here to monitor 1 and let's pick like that. Might be a pretty good color. Okay. So maybe a little bit darker than that. Great. And now here we're going to go ahead and we're going to call this our main color. All right. And now here, this is where the fun begins. We're just going to go ahead and we're just going to start painting over him. You might be thinking, okay, you're covering a lot. What's going on here? That's okay. We're on a layer. Get a lot of those darker colors in. Okay, great. So now we're going to go ahead and stop this. We're going to kind of dial this back a little bit. You can see here now that we have a lot of this color, which is a lot of fun. We can start seeing these highlights and stuff kick in. If I were to start turning this stuff off, if I turn off the purple and the yellow and orange and red, you can see here there's not a whole lot of that original color here. So all of this now is starting to really make that pop a bit. And then from here, I can tone down some of this stuff, right? I can tone down how much blood shows through, can tone down how much of that highlight pops in. Maybe that shadow's a little too much. That's okay. So we can tone all this stuff down and really start customizing that to be more of what we want. And then from there, right? So after this here, we can add another one, and then we can call this like, like more like skin tone. So now we have the skin tone version. So now we can pick that a little bit more, right? We could start now coming through. Picking areas that maybe have a little bit more just that skin tone itself. Gives me just a little bit more freedom to work here. Give him some more, like, kind of more white palms. See, the top of his head is actually pretty white here, so we can start adding in some more of this different skin tone here on the soft tissue areas. Okay. Yeah, he's starting to look a lot better, which is nice. And we're not done with this type of detailing up here, but I wanted to achieve a little bit more, which is nice. And then here, let's actually get a little bit more of a kind of a bone-ish yellow. Let's do this. Actually, what is his teeth? Does his teeth have color? Did I fill his teeth with color originally? Doesn't look like. Oh, hello there. What do we got? Delete that. Okay. Super bizarre. All right, let's go ahead and just. Yeah, that's a good color. Actually, let's make it a little bit grosser. Let's do something like that. Perfect. Okay. So this will get us most of the way there. We could paint his fingernails and his toenails of this color. But before we do that, let's actually get kind of like a bit of a chain gray. Say something like that. Maybe a little bit darker. And then for this is he has like, they're kind of like this. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's go here. There we go. Yeah. So we definitely have a little bit more of that effect there. Great, perfect. And then for his shoes, we're gonna go just a darker color. Go. Okay. And then for his tongue, most people's tongues are reddish pink, right? So let's go. Boop. Let's do that. Let's come back up here. My teeth are somehow missing. Great. And now we can come over back over here. Just paint his fingernails real quick. Now, before we do that, let me make sure real fast. Let's come over here to layers. So his skin tone is completed. So now we're going to go ahead and we're just going to not name, but we're going to start a new one and we'll call this nails. Let's just go 100%. Will temporarily just tell us where his fingernails are and then when we go in to finally detail his fingers, we'll have a little bit of guides for that. Again, I really just take the time to make sure that I just do some identifying markers, but also too, this is something like when I'm ready to like, hey, let me share with the world an update of things I've been working on. This kind of helps me do like makes me like want to share it a little bit more because it'll look somewhat decent until we get into like all the little tiny details, you know? Like perfect. All right. Now he needs we need to color an eyeball, and then I think we'll be calling it shortly after that. So yeah, let's do that. Let's paint his eye, and then there's two ways I paint eyes. If I'm not 100% sure how I want the final eye to look, like I'm thinking about giving him a goat's eye because goat eyes are freaking weird. Have you guys ever seen a goat's eye? If you haven't, welcome to the stream. I'm going to be showing you what a goat eye looks like. So let's go to Google real fast as I drop my pen on the floor and then type in goat eyes. Boom. Let me get my pen back. Look at this thing. They're freaking weird and I love it. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a good choice. So, this is eventually but before I get into that cuz that's like a whole thing and I'm actually thinking about sculpting an eyeball. Yeah, sculpting an eyeball is going to be sick. That could be a stream all in itself. Eyes are fun. Okay. So in the meantime, what I do want to do is I want to give this some life. This is just too white and it looks weird. So first things first, let's go ahead and let's go with a darker, and actually let's lean it a little bit more on the reddish off-white color. There you go. Perfect. Now I'm immediately going to turn this sucker around, right? And then we're going to go blood red. We're going to paint so that it bleeds on over a little bit. This immediately gives us a little bit of like authenticity. And if we drop the color down just a little bit, we can fill it with just like a slight red and fade it out a bit. This gives it a little bit of subsurface scatter effect to it and just looks nicer. Okay. And then from here, the only other thing I want to do with this is that I do want to identify like some shadows. So what I can do is just go ahead and grab a kind of more, let's go more purple. We never want to go true black because true black is never going to look correct. You're going to lose shadow information. And actually, you know what we could do is we can subdivide just a little bit. Doing here is just painting slightly under the surface. And it's going to give me a little bit of that fake ambient occlusion look. Go. Now, from afar, even though it's a quote white eye, that just to me that just looks so much better. It just feels so much more accurate. which I love that. All right, let's go back here to the mouth for a second. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead with a new one. Going to move this one up a bit, turn this back on. We're going to rename this. We're going to call this mouth shadow. Looks great. Thanks for sharing your process. I approach the painting process. Uh, I approach the painting process in a much messier way. Not a problem, man. Not a problem. I love doing this. Like I love sharing. It's just so much fun. Okay, we're gonna darken up his mouth a little bit. So the only time you might see me go closer to quote true black is when I'm like trying to. True black makes things look infinitely deep. So I'll do true black in the dead center of the eye, the pupil, right? But then I make sure I gradient it out so it looks really good. I do the same thing with the mouth itself. If I do a little bit of true black right where the mouth bag should be, and then immediately fade that out to a lighter color, just a slightly different black. Then when you're looking at the depth of his mouth, it just feels more natural and it's just a lot nicer that way. I'm also going to do the same thing to his eye here. So a lot of times I'll add shadow and like really dark color in the orbital of the eye because just a lot of times you'll get some shadow bleed. They'll pop just over the ridge and then it looks like it's sitting there. You know what I mean? It just feels correct. You just get a little bit. ZBrush, you okay there, buddy? Okay, ZBrush is freaking out for a second. Cool. How we doing, ZBrush? Please don't crash the third time. All right, let's let it think for a second. Let's move that back over here. Let's let that think for just a second. Feel like it's freaking out. Just look at this real fast. Staring at my reference. Yeah. So yeah, I'm at the point where we're gonna be looking at it, adding like I'm gonna be giving him scars and all sorts of stuff. Whoa! What's happening? Hold on there, Turbo. Guys, that's crazy. I don't know what is happening. It's been a little bit since I saved. Let me go ahead and happening here. There we go. Okay, let's go save as. I'm gonna save this as a 4, just in case I'm coming up. It's giving me some weird issues here. Let's clear this out. Let's hit F. There we go. Okay. Not sure what happened right there, but should be fine. Okay. All right. It just freaked out, but we're good. We're back. There we go. All right. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So then the last thing we're going to do, just kind of to demonstrate what I'm going to do a lot more. I'm going to be still working on him off stream, of course, but for just the paint job itself, I'm going to go ahead and add one more thing here. We'll rename this. We'll call these the scales. Wow. Scales. There we go. Spell that correctly. And then let's do this. Let's zoom in here. Let's go with a Let's go with like a darker color here. Okay, cool. Now I'm also going to do one thing here real fast. I'm going to go to brush and I'm going to go to depth. And then I'm actually going to do a depth mask and I'm going to crush this down a bit. Reason for that is that I want this to not bleed too much onto the other surface of his skin. I want this to kind of stop a little bit at the ridge, like at any high point. So by adjusting the depth a bit, what I'm doing is I can comfortably quickly just throw some paint on his scaling, right? And then I would be able to not worry about it falling too much onto the skin underneath it. So it's not perfect, but it does a really good job of just letting me isolate it to a certain height. So I could be a little bit more messy here. And then if I want to add more, what's cool is I'll be able to just call up this color at any time because I'll have it on the layer. You can see here, it's barely touching underneath that surface. So I can do this super fast. Now, of course, this won't stop me if I come over here. It's not going to stop. It's just going to fall off a little less. Hey, good morning, TCS. How you doing? Oh, hello. Thank you for the follow, by the way. Oh, okay, so you can see here now if I zoom out, just how that's starting to look, which is super cool. Let's actually finish painting that. Let's get this looking good. Yeah, I really like how paint just brings things together. I used to be super against coloring. Like if you were to go back into my early like drawing days, I only drew in black and white. I was one of those like super purist kids. I was like, oh, color, no, black and white, man. It's all the it's all the rage. Um, but then some of my early sculpts were just in red wax or a startup material. Um, and I was like, no, no color, no color. Nowadays, I'm all about like get color on there. See how your thing is coming to life. You can always turn the color off. You don't like it, do it again. Like, no big deal. For me, it's all about, seeing the character or the piece I'm working on come to life, and color just color makes things pop so much. But I will say, as I am preaching that color is super good, I will definitely say that color tends to hide mistakes. So be honest with yourself. If you're putting color on and you're like, yeah, this looks awesome, but then you check the mesh itself and you're like, oh man, this is like not good. Just be honest with yourself and be like, okay, clearly the color is covering it up, which is why in a portfolio, it's super important to showcase a clay render as well as a colored render. Like show your final color, all that stuff, but then show that clay render and let your model stand on its own. And you'll be surprised how much that just gains like traction really quickly. Because if somebody can look at all the details and see a super clean model, then the paint is only going to like give you that extra wow factor, right? But I some of the most favorite models I've ever seen have, have had almost no color to it. Just looked really good in clay. But color's awesome. So it's good to identify your character, creature, environment, etc. with color. I think it's a good way to see it come to life. This stream, we're being a little bit sloppy though, but that's okay. I don't mind it so much. It's good for what's going on. It's just really to see if we're headed in the right direction or not. Yeah, I did a lot of scales. Now when I continue these scale works, I'll just do it with color at the same time. That's also the other thing. It makes it a lot easier, right? So, yeah, lower this actually. Speaking of shoulder stuff, we just kind of get this a little bit more. A few more to go. There we go. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, he's starting to look pretty cool. I'm liking that. Let's go ahead and hit save. Let's turn off that layer for a second. And again, if it's too dark, we can just tone that down just a little bit. It doesn't have to be 100%, which is nice. You get to kind of tone that down. It really just makes it a huge difference. So, very cool. All right. Now, the downside to this is that when you're using the layer system, any sculptural changes that we do from here on out will have to be done on a layer system. Because if I had the layer system turned off and I tried to sculpt, it might yell at me at this point. So let's see here. Oh, actually, why is it? Oh, it's letting me record. That might be right. So either way, we could just hit a new layer and then we could start sculpting, which is super nice. So always a nice workaround on that. But there you go. There's the way I basically deal with coloring. And I really like that. I think that's pretty nice. Okay. Let's go with a darker color for this and for this. And I think that's going to call the stream today. Yeah, I think that's going to call the stream today. He's looking really cool. Got a lot done. I'm still going to finesse the rest of the scales and stuff when I get some time, and then kind of move into just light cleanup and stuff like that. I'll post anything that I do afterwards, but let's get a cool character turn real fast. So I'm going to turn it on perspective. There we go. There we go. Let's go. Boom. Yeah, he's looking pretty dope. Whoa. I just stamped to the wrong side. Hit the wrong button. Let's try that again. Let's get a cool character turn. Let's come here. Let's do this. Let's go Shift S. There we go. Perfect. There we go. It's usually how I'll do my quick one. Shift S. Boom. Say something like that. And then something like this. There we go. Boom. Say something like that. And there it is. We're going to go ahead and hit save. Very cool. Very cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Everybody, here, let's do this. Let's hide this right now. Boom. Well, thank you all for being here. Super appreciate it. Thank you for joining me, hanging out, all that fun stuff. You guys ask great questions. You guys are a fantastic audience. It is a lot of fun. So, like I said, the Digital Forge is pretty much going to be on the Stylist League at least 1 to 2 times a month. The schedule may vary, but definitely for sure. I'm going to be having a more regular, like every second Sunday or something like that, set up a little bit sooner. But really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. It will always be on this time slot, and the schedule will always happen. I'll make the announcement and so forth. So again, thank you all for being here. You're all amazing, and we'll talk to you guys later. Let's do one more little cool video.